It's time for Wave 3 Listens Live, taking your calls to hear what you have to say on Kentuckiana's first live local TV talk show and hitting the streets to be live on location in your community. All hosted by Cindy Sullivan. This is Wave 3 Listens Live.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Wave 3 Listens Live. Thank you so much for joining us today. My goodness, isn't it just a glorious day? Oh my gosh, it is just absolutely beautiful out there. And it's pretty nice in here in the studio too. And we have a very interesting show planned for you today. We have Michael Schafer joining us today. He is a local lawyer and an accomplished author and has written several books, one of which is 7 Potholes That Can Wreck Your Kentucky Accident Case. And we're going to talk about some of the myths about accident injury cases as we go through the hour, and Michael is going to be taking your calls. So our telephone number is 571-5263 or 888-800-9283. That's the toll-free number. If you have a question, if you were injured in an accident and you'd like to get some free legal advice for now, go ahead and give us a shout, 571-5263. So let's talk a little bit, Michael, about your practice. You do concentrate. There's no such thing as a specialty, right?
The Kentucky Bar Association doesn't recognize specialties, so we're allowed to concentrate in an area, but we don't have expertise or specialties. We're not allowed to be considered either an expert or a specialist.
Okay, so most of the people that come to you have been involved in some sort of accident.
That's correct.
They're dealing with insurance companies. Sometimes that can be just an absolute nightmare.
Yes, it can, and that's our philosophy, is to try to take care of all the things that are going on with the insurance company, all the background, all the paperwork, all the little technicalities and phone calls that accident victims have to deal with on a daily basis, and let somebody that has been injured concentrate on getting better, going to the doctor and taking care of themselves without the pressure of the insurance company calling them almost every day.
They will call almost every day?
A lot of times. It depends on which insurance company. The at-fault party has for their policy, but they all have scripts and timelines where they're going to call based on that timeline, trying to act as your friend in the hopes of keeping that settlement offer at the end of the case down as low as possible.
Wow. That's an interesting thing, and we here at Listens have dealt with physical therapists that specialize. They're probably allowed to specialize with people that have been injured in accidents, and sometimes it can be, not just a trip to the emergency room and all of those bills that pile up, but then subsequent trips to see an orthopedic surgeon, subsequent trips for all of that physical therapy, and all of those medical bills can really add up if you've truly been injured.
Well, the medical bills add up, and the time commitment to getting better really adds up. Many people that have been injured in an accident are going to be going to the physical therapist 3 or 4 times a week. So you have to go on a consistent basis in order to maximize your chance of recovery, and it's very exhausting going to physical therapy.
Right.
My wife has gone for a broken arm from a skiing accident last year, and 2 to 3 times a week, and she was just exhausted when she got back, and doing the home therapy was also very exhausting. So it's when you're concentrating on doing that and putting the time into getting better, it's hard to deal with everything else that's going on, the daily ins and outs of an auto accident and the insurance problems.
Absolutely. Michael is here to take your calls today. He'll be here for the entire hour. Our telephone number is 571-5263, 888-800-9283 is our toll-free number. And we did have someone, Michael, that did want to stay on the line, but had a question about whether or not you're allowed to help people that were injured in an accident in Indiana.
I am not licensed in Indiana, but if they would give me a call, I can talk to them. I'm familiar with most of Indiana's laws, and if I can't point, and I should be able to point them in the right direction, either with some guidance or with an attorney in Indiana that can help them out. So just give me a call and we'll see what we can do for you.
Okay, let me go ahead and give you the contact information too for Michael, because actually it's getting ready to change, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. Okay. We're moving offices probably in November. We're going to be moving to Old Louisville. We just bought an old Victorian house in Louisville, and we'll be moving our practice there. So we're excited about the growth and the new facilities and digs, so to speak.
Well, those are such great facilities, and I think they make wonderful office space, these big old buildings.
Yes, they do. The high ceilings, it just it makes you feel like you're almost in a movie, so it's exciting.
Yeah, that's great. So Michael is currently located, your office is downtown.
Correct.
So if you would like to get a hold of Michael, if you can't call during this next hour or so, you can definitely get a hold of him at his office. Here's the address. It's 440 South 7th Street, Suite 200, and the telephone number 584-9511 or 855?
855, that's a toll-free number, believe it or not.
Okay.
Now.
487-4878. I guess you got to have a million of them. MikeSchaferLaw.com is the website, and of course you can always go to the website MikeSchaferLaw. That's SCHAFER. MikeSchaferLaw.com, and you can get lots of information about the practice, and you've got lots of information up there too about the books that you've published and some of the other information.
That's correct. We try to. Our philosophy is we try to educate people that have been in accidents, because there's not a lot of information out there for people to get on what to do if they've been in an accident. So you come to my website, you can find out how to get your medical bills paid, how to get your lost wages paid, what's the best way to get my car fixed, those sort of things. And it's pretty easy to navigate. We have a search bar right on the website, so type your question in and it should take you to an article that I've written that'll help you out. If not, give me a call or send me an email and we'll try to answer the question as best we can.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a call or two, do you think, before we take a break? We'll go to Judy first, calling from Bardstown. Good morning, Judy. How are you this morning?
I'm doing just fine, thank you.
Good.
Morning, Judy.
Good morning.
What can we do for you today?
Well, Mr. Schafer, I would, and I think you will agree with me, I would like to let the audience know that if they are involved in an accident and the other people's insurance company calls you and they want to know, were they on a cell phone? Were they drinking? Did you see this? Did you see that? The best thing you can do is keep your mouth shut and refer them to your law firm. Because there are questions that if you do answer, you may find yourself in a big pothole.
Well, that's correct. That's thank you for taking that information right out of my book. But the insurance company for the at-fault party is going to call almost immediately to try to get a statement and ask you things that seem, insignificant to you at the time, to try to get that information. And the purpose of the call is to find out what happened in the case, to find out what the value of the case is, whether or not their insured is going to be found liable and have to pay for pain and suffering, but also to try to determine if in this particular case there's any way to lower the value or eliminate what's going to be paid on the case. So it's always a good idea to wait until you've spoken to an attorney before you do talk to the insurance company and give a statement, to see if it is in your best interest to give a statement, and if it is, to get prepared. We go through at least an hour with every client in preparing them to give a statement to the insurance company. As you say, that is something the insurance company does every day. And for most people, the only time they're ever going to give a statement is that one phone call when they have been in an accident. So it's best to wait until you're feeling better, your adrenaline's not pumping, and you're not on medication, so you can think clearly when you are responding.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Judy, for the call. We really do appreciate it. The other thing that we're going to talk about as we go through the hour are some myths about personal injury. Myth number one from Michael's book is, I'm getting a windfall, or the court system is a lottery. Now, what do you mean by that?
Well, a lot of people that come into my office think that I've been in an accident, I am entitled to X amount of money. That if I don't go to work, it's automatically going to be paid. That if I just go to a doctor, I'm going to get a good settlement on this. And that's not always the case. If you are injured and you are truly hurt in the accident, I can put $1 million right here on the table, and I could put your health as it was prior to this accident on the other side, and there's not enough money in the world that's going to be there where you're going to not take your health the way it was before the accident.
Right, sure.
So people are really hurt, and these injuries and these problems are going to affect you for the rest of your life. So this is not a get-rich-quick scheme or anything like that. This is, you are truly injured, and you're going to be compensated for those injuries, but it's not a windfall. It's not, okay, I'm lucky, I just found $500,000 or $100 on the street.
Right.
You are paying for that in a very severe way, and a lot of times it's 10-15 years down the road when arthritis really kicks in and you start having those pains in the morning that you wouldn't have otherwise.
Wow, it's terrible. And then the second part of that, the insurance company will give me a reasonable offer if I simply call them or write them a letter.
And that, once again, is almost always not the case. Maybe 20 years ago, insurance adjusters had a lot more freedom, and they would look at the case and decide, okay, this is what it's worth, this is what this person truly deserves. But most insurance companies have turned the claims department into a profit center.
Oh.
So they're trying to make money or lower the amount that they pay out, because they get the premiums in, that's how they make their money, and everything they get to keep is profit.
Right.
And one of their biggest outlay is not for adjusters and employees, it's paying out on claims, whether they be pain and suffering for auto accidents, medical bills being paid, or property damage from a hurricane or something like that. Those all decrease the profit. So the lower amount that they can give you, the more profit they have, and there's bonuses for most insurance companies built in, so the insurance adjusters, if they keep their payouts under a certain level, they're going to make more money at the end of the quarter. So their job is to try to get you to take as little as possible.
Gotcha.
And I'm not sure how close we are to a break, but another part that comes into that is all these insurance companies now use computer programs to determine what a claim is worth. So there's various names for them: Colossus, Teach, Smart, and there's over 10,000 items that can be put into these programs to try to spit out this number. And if you don't know how to manipulate that program a little bit, that number is going to be lower.
Wow, sure. Modeling and everything. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a really quick break. Mike Schafer is joining us today, and he's going to be talking about personal injury. If you've been injured in an accident and want some advice from a lawyer, you can go ahead and give us a call, 571-5263. We'll talk about some more of those myths about personal injury, too, when we come back. Stay with us. Hey, did I mention that Dairy Queen is coming a little bit later in the show to talk about their Miracle Network benefit? Blizzards. You need to go get yourself one today, because it's a win-win-win situation. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. In the meantime, Mike Schafer is joining us, and we're talking about personal injury. If you've got a question, he's got some answers for you. So let's go ahead and get back to the phones. What do you say, Mike?
That's great.
We'll go to Jim first. Jim is calling from Clarksville. What's on your mind, Jim?
Yeah, I was listening to him right before y'all went to break. He said the insurance companies try to keep a bottom line so they make more money. I was rear-ended by a gentleman. My insurance company notified their insurance company that my PIP was just about ready to run out, and they were filing a claim against them. They called their insurance company called me and notified me that my insurance company had contacted them and wanted to settle the claim. I told the gentleman I hadn't even been to the doctor yet, so he didn't call back. So I called about 3 months after he called me. I couldn't get him on the phone. I couldn't get the people from the ones that pay for the repairs on your vehicles to call me. I'm in court with it right now because the gentleman hit me and didn't have a driver's license, and he's charged with an accident. Then when I got a hold of him last week, the gentleman told me my best bet would be to go out and hire an attorney. I ain't never heard of an insurance company wanting you to go out and hire an attorney. Usually you try to settle as cheap as they can.
Which insurance company told you to hire the attorney?
Well, if I said that, it's a large insurance company.
Now, did this happen in Indiana, Jim? This accident?
No, the accident happened here.
Okay. And have you ever been to the doctor in reference to this?
Yeah, I've been to the doctor in physical rehab.
Okay. And
I have a disc, bulging disc in my neck and a bulging disc in my lumbar.
Okay. Well, there's obviously some items that they believe are very serious that need some attention and some issues in your case. So it sounds like the best thing for you to do would to be give me a call later today or tomorrow where we can talk about this in greater detail and see what is actually going on, what the insurance company is doing, and why they are slow playing this, because that is very unusual. It usually doesn't happen, and I think we need to get to the bottom of this. Okay.
All right, Jim, thank you so much for the call. We do appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and take another really quick break. When we come back, Mike Schafer will be taking your calls. Our telephone number is 571-5263. Here's another one of those personal injury myths from Mike Schafer. I have to give the insurance company a recorded statement. So does that mean that you don't really have to do that?
You don't have to do that, and the main thing is that time is not of the essence. As the previous caller had stated about the insurance, we talked about why they are trying to get the statement. My advice is don't give a statement until you've had a chance to evaluate yourself, figure out your pain level, get off your pain medication if you can, and I urge you to talk to an attorney before you give a statement so that he can prepare you or she can prepare you for that statement to get you ready so it's a level playing field, because like I said before, insurance adjusters take statements every day.
Right.
Most people will only give a statement this one time, and it can be very nerve-wracking. So the main thing is to get prepared. Time is not of the essence. You can wait 30 to 60 days or even longer if you want before you give that statement so that you are prepared for that statement.
Okay. Might want to take some notes though so that you don't forget.
Absolutely. Well, I always recommend that keep a, I use the word journal because a lot of guys don't like to keep a diary, but you should always keep a journal as to every day as to what is happening, the doctors you're going to, the things that you can and can't do during the course of the day because of this accident. Because if you think about it, a trial, if it happens, is going to be 2 to 3 years down the road in most instances, and that's a ways back out. So think about last Christmas. If I asked you to go from when you got up to when you went to bed and tell me everything that happened, who got what present, you going to be able to do that?
Nope. Maybe 10 years ago. But anyway, that's a really good point. All right, we're going to get back to your phone calls. We're going to talk to Helen first. Good morning, Helen.
Good morning.
A lot of viewers in Clarksville this morning calling. Hi. So what's your question, Helen?
Well, I was wondering what would be the average fee that a lawyer would charge, percentage-wise?
Helen, for a personal injury case, all the fees are what's called contingency fee, which means the attorney is paid a percentage of what is collected at the end of the case. This is so that the injured victim that is usually off work doesn't have to pay a flat fee or an hourly fee right up front out of their pocket. Most attorneys will charge 1/3 or 33.33% of that amount. There are some attorneys that may charge a little bit less. There are other attorneys that will charge 40% for a more complicated case. Medical malpractice cases are usually charged at 40% because the cost in reference to that case to get it ready for trial is much greater. There are other triggers such as going to trial and appeals that some attorneys will raise the fee, so it might start out at 25%, but if you have to go file a suit, it goes to 1/3. If you have to go to trial, it goes to 40%. So you want to really look at your contract and see what is in it before you sign that contract with the attorney, because every attorney's contract is a little bit different. And if you want to see an example of one, you can go to my website, the MikeSchaferLaw.com website, and put contingency fee contract in the search box, and it will pop up the contract that I use.
All right. Thank you so much for the call, Helen. Interesting question. And now we're going to go to Rick, calling from Louisville. Hi, Rick.
Hello, Cindy.
Hi, Rick.
Yeah, I have a question about no-fault insurance. I find that kind of confusing. It seems to some people that's a good thing. To other people see it as a bad thing. Can you explain that a little better to me, please?
Well, Rick, the no-fault insurance, it's kind of a confusing term. The Kentucky legislator put that in place to make sure that your medical bills get paid. So what it means is no matter whose fault the accident is, your medical bills are going to get paid. So whether or not you caused the accident or you didn't cause the accident, it was somebody else's fault, you are entitled to what are called no-fault benefits, which under most situations are $10,000. Those benefits are paid by your own personal insurance company to make sure that you don't have to get permission from the at-fault insurance company to go to a doctor. You don't have to go to their doctor. You can choose your own doctor. Then when the case is settled, your insurance company has the right to subrogate or collect that what they've paid, less a deductible, intercompany deductible, but to collect most of that amount back from the at-fault insurance company. And if you have any further questions on that, feel free to give my office a call later today and we can go into it a little more in depth.
So just to follow up a little bit on Rick's question, $10,000?
Most insurance policies, the basic amount in Kentucky of PIP is $10,000.
That doesn't go very far, though.
And that's a problem. You really need to ask your insurance agent if you can raise your personal injury protection. There's something called added reparations benefits, and you can raise it up to anywhere. Most insurance companies will go up to $90,000 in added reparations benefits, which go toward the medical bills on that. I strongly recommend, especially if you don't have health insurance, to call your insurance agent and get added reparations benefits. And it won't cost near as much as you think it will.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much, Rick, for the call. We do appreciate it. And Jim is up next, calling from Louisville again. Hey, Jim.
Yes, I'm calling concerning an accident that I had here in Louisville. I started into a business, and when I did, my foot slipped off the curbing there at the front of the building, and I fell backward and hit the back of my head and neck. Well, I went on into the bank, and of course they offered to call whoever I wanted to call, an ambulance or whatever. I did finally go on in on my own, had somebody take me into the hospital and get examined.
Okay.
But now, without me calling them, they want to send their insurance person to my house this Friday and talk to me about that situation. Should I talk to the insurance agent for this company, or should I wait and get an attorney for myself and let him, go into the conversation with them?
I think I would talk to someone, Jim. It's a little hard to say exactly what happened in reference to this, because I don't know whether or not on a slip and fall, whether or not there was any defect in the curve that caused you to fall. So that would be the major point, to figure out whether or not there was a defect that caused you to fall that makes the bank liable. They may just be looking at it for paying your medical bills under a medical payment plan that they have. So, but if you want to give me a call, we can talk about it in a little more detail.
Okay, Jim, best of luck to you. Thank you so much for the call. We're going to go ahead and take a really quick break. When we come back, today's your day to get a guilt-free Blizzard, because it's all going to go to the Miracle Network. Stay with us. We'll be right back. $5. So go right now to wave3.com and take advantage of the deal of the week. And Mike Schafer is joining us today. We're talking about personal injury, and we're going to go ahead and get right back to your telephone calls. First, we're going to go to Linda, calling from Okolona. Hi, Linda.
Hello. How are you this morning?
Just fine, thanks.
Morning, Linda.
Okay. The problem I'm having stems from almost a year ago when I slammed into the back of a truck that was sitting at an intersection, and I kind of folded my little compact car up real good. But I didn't think anything was going on there. I didn't go to the hospital. I just got up, and from what I realized, it seemed like nothing was going on. Well, 3 days later, I didn't have any memory of about the 3 days intervening, and that wasn't the end. I'm a college student. I had a 3.5 or somewhere thereabouts GPA the next semester. I tanked out really bad. I'd be sitting there and realize that what was the last hour, and it was that morning. It's kind of like I stepped into the twilight zone. It doesn't happen all the time, but it's kind of like I can't trust my memory.
So is there something, do you think, that Linda could do, Mike?
Well, I mean, it sounds like she is suffering from a closed head injury, so I would definitely get to her doctor where you can, you need to go to the doctor, have your doctor refer you to a neurologist or someone that can test you to see exactly what is going on with your memory problem there. I'm assuming that it sounds like the accident was your fault, but based on the fact that you ran into the back of the truck, from what you said, that may not be the case. But even if it was your fault and there has been a delay, your PIP benefits, if the treatment is related to the accident, are still there, so you have $10,000 of medical care to pay for your doctor visits. So I would get to the doctor and get checked out, because closed head injuries can be very serious, and that's the symptoms. I'm not a doctor, but it sounds like that's what's going on with you.
Thanks so much for the call, Linda, and best of luck to you. Let's go now to Kelly, calling from Louisville. Hi, Kelly.
Hi. I actually have a question about my mother. She was in a wreck, and like Linda, she was on the opposite end. She was hit from behind, and she has a lawsuit, and they have told us that she has to pay back Medicare for the medical care that she was given. And is that true? And if so, can it be lessened? I mean, can it be negotiated down to where you don't have to pay the full amount back?
Linda, yes, that is true. Medicare has what's called, we call it a super lien, because not only is your mother on the hook for that, but the insurance company, if they don't pay it back, could be liable, and the attorney could be personally liable. So you definitely are required to pay that back. It's much the same way most health insurance you have to pay back if there is someone else that is responsible for the injury. Now, your question as to whether or not that can be negotiated down, sometimes it can be. Most of the time, that amount is a lot less than what your medical bills would be. Medicare pays a very minimal amount of the total bill. So if there was a $1,000 bill, they might have only paid $122 toward that, and you only have to pay what Medicare actually paid. And then they also give a 25% discount off of that for the attorney, helping them collect that, which the attorney usually passes on to the client.
All right, Kelly, thank you so much for the call. We do appreciate it, and it sounds complicated.
It is, very.
We're going to go to Tina now, calling from PRP. Hey, Tina.
Hi.
Morning, Tina.
Hi. The question I have is in regards to a family member. They were involved in a car accident about a year ago, and they were hit head-on. The man was killed in the accident, and the woman was injured, had several surgeries, and she had some permanent injuries. The insurance company still hasn't made an offer as to settle, or they haven't helped with any of the bills. We have an attorney, we have a lawsuit. Just didn't know if there's something we can do to speed the process up, or how long this normally takes.
Well, it can be very complicated, Tina, as to how long. I would have a heart-to-heart with your attorney to see exactly what's going on. Some lawsuits will get resolved within 9 months or so. Some might take 2, 3, or 4 years, depending on how many depositions need to be taken, how many parties are involved, and what the limits are on the insurance and how that is going to be distributed. So I would call your attorney or your mother's attorney and have a heart-to-heart with them just to find out exactly what the process is going to be and how long this is going to take over the next several months or year.
All right, Tina, thank you very much for the call. We really do appreciate it. We've got James hanging on the line, and if you've got a question for Mike Schafer, you can go ahead and give us a call right now, 571-5263. We'll take a real quick break and be right back with Listens Live. Welcome back to Wave 3 Listens Live. Thanks so much for joining us today. Mike Schafer is joining us. He is taking your calls today about personal injury. And Mike, we had someone whose battery was getting ready to die on them, so they didn't want to stay on, couldn't stay on the line, but they did have a question about their lawyer. They apparently have a personality conflict with their lawyer, and they want to know, how do you go about firing your lawyer and getting a new one?
Well, that's always a tricky subject, and you know, it's if you do have a problem with your lawyer, you're not stuck with that particular attorney. You would just notify them by certified mail and let them know that you no longer need their services, and keep that receipt that they actually did get that, and then get a copy of your file. I always urge people to contact your attorney, because he's been in it from the beginning of the case, and see if you can resolve the problem, resolve the conflict. You know, sometimes it's unresolvable, but it is always best to try to resolve that, because as an attorney, if I'm evaluating, looking at a case, if somebody comes in and brings me a case where they have been represented by an attorney previously, I'm going to look at that a little bit different, and depending on the time, the statute of limitation problems, and other things, I may or may not be interested. So try to resolve it first with whoever's representing you, but if you can't, that would be the procedure to go through.
Alrighty, thank you very much. And now let's go up here to James. James, thanks so much for hanging on. Hey, James?
Yeah.
Calling from Shepherdsville.
Yes.
What's your question?
Actually, I'm just curious. My daughter got injured in art class last year in her school, and I had to have surgery to have her hand fixed. And I was denied by the school, and I was just wondering if there was any legal action I can take to try and get the bills paid. It's about $3,000 altogether.
It depends on the insurance that the school had. Some facilities have what's called med pay, and it might be an automatic insurance that would pay no matter what the problem or how your child was hurt. The other thing is looking at what happened in this accident, how she got hurt, whether or not there was any thing that the teacher or that the school did wrong, whether giving them the wrong type of materials to use in the art class, or lack of supervision, and that sort of thing, which would go toward whether or not the medical bills would be paid, and also toward whether or not there's a pain and suffering that your daughter could collect for her injury. So it depends a lot on the circumstances as to what happened.
All right, James, best of luck with for you. Let's now go to Don. Don is calling from Louisville. Hey, Don.
Hey, I have a question. About a year and a half ago, I was in a car accident, and subsequently, since then, I was off of work for about 13 weeks, came back to work, still having problems in my arms, etc. I did hire a lawyer, but he did tell me that, at least in his opinion, that the other insurance company offered me $35,000, but in his opinion, that was probably all that I was going to get, unless I get surgery, or unless I'm laid off of work, or unless I'm demoted. Now, the numbness in my arms, etc., affect the way that I work. Now that I've become a manager, I don't have that, but I do. I guess it would be artistic work, and so I can only do that for a short period of time until I go numb. So I guess my question is, he said we could take this to trial, and I said I don't want to get not what I'm compensated for, but I just want what I'm due. But at the same time, I don't want to get rich, but I'm a little confused when my attorney tells me that I think you need to take the settlement, because I'll end up, it won't even cover all the medical bills, minus his fee and what I was paid. So,
well, I would call your attorney and get some more details as to exactly what this would mean, in your pocket. Your attorney is in the best spot to be able to advise you on the case and to let you know what is in your best interest. But I would make an appointment with him, sit down and have a heart-to-heart and say, Okay, why are you telling me this is in my best interest? What do you think will happen at trial? Why do you think it's not in my best interest to go to trial? And get that information from him so you can make the best decision for you.
All right, thank you so much for the call, Don. We're going to get Lucinda in here really quick. Lucinda, do you have a quick question?
Yes. Hi there. My name is Lucinda, and I'm calling on behalf of my mother.
Okay.
Hi, Lucinda.
Yes, my mother was broadsided on Hubbard's Lane about a year and a half ago. Okay. She has an attorney. She's 82 years old, and I think 81 at the time. And she was lucky that it didn't kill her because it went right on the driver's side. They ran the stoplight, and she has damage to her leg and nerves in her back. She has the attorney, but the attorney keeps saying that we need to wait on Medicare. I'm wondering, do we need to check with another attorney? What is your thought about this?
Medicare is a huge problem. I don't think you need to check with another attorney because there's been some issues going on with Medicare. They're very slow in responding. They have a lien on the case that has to be repaid until the attorney gets the conditional amount from Medicare. He has no idea what type of settlement or what the bottom line of the settlement will be for your mother and how much they will get. There's been some issues that have gone on. Case in Arizona basically put a halt for 2 or 3 months on everything. So wow. It's just been renewed. So your attorney's right on with it.
Wow, Lucinda, thank you very much. Best of luck to you and your mom. We're going to go ahead and take a really quick break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.